Welcome to a special edition of the Referrals podcast. Introducing our new Daily Dose. We've assembled the ultimate crisis response team for your business. Generous leaders from around the globe teaming up to teach, guide, and lead you through this time of isolation and quarantine. Now let's meet your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J. Maher with another episode of the Daily Dose, your daily dose of positivity and productivity. Oh my gosh, have these episodes been positive? Have these episodes been productive? Off the charts. Many of you are making the centerpiece of your day, the masterpiece of your day, and you have time blocked the time before this and the time after this to get things done. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have the victor mindset and to win every day? Have you ever wondered what it takes to win every day? We are going to show you today with our very surprise special guest, and I will tell you that he is going to blow you away. He's by demand. You guys said this is the guy. We want him back. So we are going to have Nick Santonastasso in just a few moments. I'm going to do announcements. I'm going to bring this guy on, and we're going to show you today how to go from victim to victor with your mindset and your behavior. So quick announcements. Number one, database on steroids class is today at 2:30, right after this. Check the events in the Generosity Generation Facebook. You wanted it, you got it. Systems 101 with yours truly. Yes, I am teaching a basic systems class next Wednesday, April 29th at 2:30. Check your events in the Generosity Generation Facebook group. And then we've got a time management check-in Thursday, April 30th with Neil Smith. Once again, that event is in the Generosity Generation Facebook group. Looking ahead to next week, Monday, we've got Ron Burgum, the CEO of the region with AmeriFirst and AmeriTrust Mortgage. You are going to be blown away by this guy. I hope he wears a tank top because this guy got guns, and I can't wait for you to talk to Ron Burgum. Tuesday, we have Hal Elrod, the Miracle Morning Man, the Miracle Man, the Miracle Equation author is going to be on Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got Gina Bordeaux, and Thursday, we've got Mike Cuevas, and then we round out the week and the month next week with Stacy Alcorn, one of the most powerful women in the world, is our guest next Friday. Are you kidding me with this? Now, quick action items. Create and lead your Facebook group. Right now, you should start your watch party in your Facebook group. This is for kids. This is for adults. This is for parents. This is for stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home mom. This is for professionals. This is for broke. This is for billionaires. This is for millionaires. This is for everything in between. So you can easily and confidently start your watch party in your group because we are going to dive deep into topics that honestly impact everyone. So start your watch party now. If you don't know how to do that, go to share down below. Up on the top, it'll say, where do you want to share it? Click start watch party, and then go up where it says, right now it says Generosity Generation Group. You do not want to share it in here. That does not serve any purpose for you. You want to type in the name of your group. The name of your group will come on. It'll take you over there. And now you can have a conversation with your people, your peeps, your tribe, your community, your private island people, and you can have a conversation with them while this is going on and see what they think and what they know. So I have to tell you, today we have Nick Santonastasso with us, and I will tell you, he is a peak performance expert who's been able to travel the world inspiring millions alongside some of the great speakers like Tony Robbins, Michael Maher, I added that one, Ed Milet, Rachel Hollis, Aaron Luden, and many more, who is also known for his inspirational Instagrams, which includes bodybuilding videos, TikTok, modeling shoots, Walking Dead episodes, and he also is known for his fantastic TikToks and being the mindset coach for the youth. I'm going to repeat that. The mindset coach for the youth. Do you have kids? Do they need a mindset coach? Okay, if the first answer is yes, I know the second answer is yes. So he is the guy. And listen, this is a guy that was born with no legs, one arm, one finger, and a less than 10% chance to live. I mean, think about that. And through adversity, he could have been a victim his entire life, ridiculed, made fun of, and victimized and taken advantage of. And you know what? He chose to choose the different path. Victim, victor, he chose victor. Without further ado, I want to please, dear God, bring this guy onto the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity. Nick Santonastasso, welcome, brother.
My man, thanks for not only having me, but get my last name right. It means the world.
What are you talking about, dude? I know how to spell it. I've said it right from the moment Dawn told me how to say it. Like I said, I'm going to learn how to say that guy's name because you know what? The very first time I met you, Philadelphia, like we were speaking at the same event at different times. And like I had a little conversation and then you started talking. I was like, what? This guy's different, right? And it was like we were talking and having that conversation. And then it was like, all right, what's your name again? Right. The first time you ask, you're like, yeah. You know, you kind of remember, but you kind of don't. And I'm getting ready to speak. So it's like, all right, I got a lot of things going on. But it was more like, hey, what's your name? And it's like you started talking. I was like, oh, wait a second. I do have time here to greet, meet, and get to the meat, right? So it was one of those where, and then Dawn was like, all right, you know, his name's Nick Santonastasso. And I was, you know, when you first hear Santonastasso, you're like, okay, that word is the Scrabble champion of the word. I mean, that like you win, you have that on your Scrabble board, you win. Like there are a lot of 1-point letters, but there's so many letters, like you win, right? So, and then I had him spell it, you know, which didn't help me at all. But I will tell you that, you know, the right out of How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie says, what is the sweetest sound to a person? And the sweetest music, the sweetest sound to their ears, to another person's ears, is their name. And it's important that we get names correct. So thank you for not calling me Michael Maher or Maher, right? It's Maher. And so we have Nick Santonastasso here. Just off the road last month with Tony Robbins. He was in China, you know, not several months ago. I mean, think about like when he heard all this going on, how frightful that might have made you, you know? So, you know, I think I want to start from the very beginning, if you're okay with this, is like, when did you know you were different? You know, I mean, it's like, I think like my son, Max, I think he was like 6 or 7 before he knew he was like different than other people. It's like, we're the same, you know? So when did you know you were different?
Yeah, absolutely. The one story that comes to mind, I was probably in 3rd grade and it was, you know, by the way, did you see my Goalcast video?
Which one?
My Goalcast video was just dropped like a couple of days ago.
No.
And I keep this story, but I'll share it here. And so,
yeah.
You know, I was 3rd grade and it was a hot summer day. And I always remember it was hot because when I jumped off my wheelchair onto the asphalt, my butt cheeks were on fire.
Ah, yeah.
And so I'm looking around. I said, you know, what sport am I going to play? And I see some of my friends are playing kickball. So I'm like, you know, I'm going to play some kickball. And you're probably asking, you know, Nick, how do you play kickball? You have no legs. And so me being solution-oriented Nick, I would designate the guy who had the best leg to kick the ball for me. And I would run around the bases, you know? And so I ran around the bases, I kicked the ball, and I slid into home, and the catcher, I was standing in between the catcher and the pitcher, and the pitcher said to the catcher, how are you going to let a cripple score on you? Mm. And that was my first taste of realizing I was different. And not only that, but it was my first taste of the why me, how we were talking about, the victim mentality, right?
Yeah.
Why do I have to be born like this? Why do the kids have to make fun of me? I just beat you without legs, fair and square. Like, why me? And we can, you know, for the people that are listening, we can also take a sense of comfort in the fact that you're not the only one that has ever said, why me? Mm-hmm. You know, we've all had moments in our life in our internal dialogue where we said, why is this happening to me? But there's a question that I often ask, and I ask in the moments of failure, ask in the moments of problems or moments like that. And it's, what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
Because I think the quality of our life comes down to the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves. You ask a better question, you get a better answer. And so oftentimes you'll notice that the questions that we ask ourselves or the things we say are disempowering. They're negative, right? Mm-hmm. And so I always, I always exercise the muscle of asking empowering questions so I can get a better answer than negative. Does that make sense?
100%. And what's great about this is you told a little snippet of this story when we had you on a couple of weeks ago. And Max, I have to tell you, I almost teared up because Max wrote on the board is, of course, I would kick the ball for Nick, because, that's the kind of generous heart he has. And I was really proud of him for saying that. But it really, I wanted to kind of dive deeper on this whole example that you're talking about, because we can, like, you immediately make a lesson with it because that's who you are, like the why me and the victim versus victor. And the victor asks questions of themselves and learns from it, while the victim, it reinforces their victimization, right? So you said why me, and the quality of your questions is leads to the quality of your life. And that's such a great one because, and I will tell you, we've got everything from kids in 3rd grade to 80-year-olds who are watching this episode of the Daily Dose. Yeah. And I want to reinforce the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. And we don't ask ourselves enough great questions. We don't ask ourselves enough phenomenal questions. But the number one way that you can raise your emotional quotient, your EQ, the way you see the world and the way the world sees you, is through asking yourselves questions. We don't want to think. First thing is we don't think enough. We just want to be on autopilot all the time. And guess what? The pivot blew autopilot out of the world, out of the air. But it was one of those where, if I had a wish for everybody right off the bat, it was just like, what questions do you need to be asking to improve the quality of your life? And even to the point of, what are the questions I'm not asking that would make a big difference? Questions like, what is my biggest challenge right now? What is my team's biggest challenge right now? What is my company's biggest challenge? And that's a good one for an employee. Like right now, the employee got laid off or whatever, but it's like when they go back, it's like, what was my company's biggest challenge right now? Instead of being the victim, I got laid off. I got fired, Nick. I got fired, right? It's like, no, you didn't, right? It's a global pandemic, right? So everybody got laid off. Even your CEO was laid off. So, all right. So what is the biggest, like being a solutionist and really thinking of what is that biggest challenge? And then I think another great question that we've that's the beauty of this Daily Dose. And I'm talking too much and I'll shut up here in a second. But you set a fire in me, dude. And that's what you do every time I talk to you is this whole thought of asking better questions. What are the people on the Daily Dose doing better than the average producer? What I have noticed in the 17 interviews that I've done is the questions they ask of themselves and they ask of my Generosity Generation group are better. They're higher minded. What energizes you? What rises your energy? What lowers your energy? What do you love to do? What is the one thing that you want to retain from this quarantine time when the quarantine is over? What is the thing that you're not going to change? What is the skill you've learned during these times? Like that is you, right? That's Victor question. That is the power of this self-awareness.
Yeah. As well, for the kids listening and even, and for the parents, like, I think that a lot of times parents stop their kids from being curious. But I think curiosity for humans in general is the most powerful thing. You don't know something, you're curious about it. How do you get better answers? You ask questions, and so a lot of the times we'll say for example, a kid sees me on the street with his parents and he's like, oh mom, like what happened? And they're like, no, stop honey, that's rude. Well, you're stopping his curiosity.
Yeah.
The kid's just curious, and so even if you have to educate the kid on there's a proper way to ask a question and there's like a negative way, like, it comes off your energy and how you ask the question. And I have a rule, if someone comes up to me, an adult, I don't do this to kids, but if an adult comes up to me and asks me, hey buddy, what's your story? I'll tell them. But if an adult comes up to me, he's like, what happened to you? I'll be like, well, I was in Hawaii and I was, riding my surfboard and I was fighting off this great white shark, and I'll bring them down this deep, dark rabbit hole just because that's a lesson in itself. Ask a question in an empowering way.
Yeah.
But what I would say is let's not stop curiosity. And as long as you are asking questions, that means you want to grow. That means you want to learn. That means you want to evolve. And so look at being curious as a strength.
Yeah.
And also, as we're talking about employees, we need to drop this mindset of that we get paid what we get paid just to show up. You get paid for the value that you bring. And so now, what skills can you add to your arsenal that will increase your pay when you go back? What other things, what other skills and tactics and different, what more value can you bring to your workplace or your new business so you can get paid more? I had a buddy, he said, dude, one of the questions that I ask myself each and every day is, how can I give myself a raise today?
Powerful.
How can I give myself a raise today? Or what skill can I learn today that is going to help me provide more value, more service? And I think we talked about this in the last one, but now is the time to love on your people, give them free value.
That's right. So one of the questions I asked to myself, first of all, I got to give credit to Howard Brinton, one of my mentors, his saying, like in literally at his funeral, the quote that was under his epitaph was, get out of judgment, get into curiosity. And that I hear that all the time, get out of judgment, get into curiosity. Judgment leads to entitlement and lack of appreciation, lack of gratitude. And then you get into curiosity and it's like, it is an appreciation. It is a better world. And, what's interesting is you're exactly right is, a kid with Google is so powerful, because they're going to type in questions that you've never, and YouTube and kids go hand to hand, and the thing is people, man, I wish they'd quit watching YouTube videos. It's like, no, you know what? Let them watch these. Now, are they getting too much tech time? Maybe. But the thing is, man, isn't it great that they're curious and they're learning about something that means, maybe ask them, get curious into what they're discovering versus getting into judgment about their tech time. Maybe the tech time is positive time, and I have to tell you that happened with me and Max is that, these kids are going to be on the computer. They're going to be on the phone. It's basically, they were born with an iPhone in their hand, so they're going to be that way. So instead of, being judgmental because it's different than you, then we get into curiosity about how can we maybe be more productive with it and not necessarily just be, time wasting all the time. And so, yeah,
that's exactly why we need to see people from where they are.
Yeah.
Not judge, right? Because the moment you judge someone, whether it's your coworker or your kid, you can't transform them anymore. You can't get through them because they felt judged. And that's why I think one of the biggest powerful tools as a leader or anyone is seeing people where they are and understanding the world around them and why they're doing it. And so, the kids with their screen time, it could be a time of, I know kids that know how to edit better than me and know how to, film videos better than me because they're just full immersion in it. So yeah, I love what you said, Michael, about that.
Yeah. TikTok has turned all these kids into videographers. They literally have figured out how to tell their story in 15 seconds. Is there anything better than that? It's just like, it started out, it was just like one dance move. These kids have figured out how to get 100 moves in 15 seconds, so it's one of those where, get out of judgment, get into curiosity. And I love what you said about when you come up to somebody, instead of getting into, first of all, I do like that people do come up, back, 80s, maybe they wouldn't have, they would have just avoided, right? That would have been a big part of avoidance. And instead of like, teach your kids and teach your kids to approach maybe that World War II veteran in the wheelchair or the Vietnam veteran in the wheelchair, older people, and get into what's your story. Like it used to be with tattoos, right? What people, you would get into judgment about tattoos. It would be, oh my gosh, somebody made a really late night decision under duress and probably made a mistake, right? Or you can go up to them and say, you know what? That's an interesting tattoo. What's the story? And there's always a story around every tattoo. They don't say, oh, you know what? I was sleeping one night and I woke up with this tattoo. You know, it doesn't work like that. But so I have a question along that story, right? So what we didn't do 2 weeks ago was unpack the rest of the story kind of thing. Is what do you think was the difference between those who befriended you and those who ridiculed you through that 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade? And you also told the girl story about the girl on the bus, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, what was the difference between those who befriended you and those who ridiculed you? Because where I really want to look at is the people who befriended you, like, how do we encourage more of that? And how do we get out of the ridicule you side of things?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love what you said about your son, how, you know, he wrote down that he'd be one of the guys that kicked the ball. And that's because early on, he knew how important contribution was. Mm-hmm. Or he knew how important, you know, just being there for a friend in need or being there for someone in need. And he may have done it before and he was like, wow, this makes me feel good. So maybe early on the kids didn't realize how powerful contribution was. But what I think it is, and I'll sum it up in a quote and then I'll dive deep, is for the kids listening. I was just doing a kids call for Junior Victorious yesterday, and I said, winners don't hate on triers, and winners don't hate on other winners. Losers hate on triers, and losers hate on winners. And the reason being, I think the kids that made fun of me, the kids that made jokes, were insecure. Mm-hmm. They were insecure and they had their own, but as a kid, you can't see that, Michael. Yeah. As a kid, you can't see that kid is struggling, but the reason why they're picking on you, the reason why they're calling you that name, the reason why they're, you know, making everyone else pick on you is to make them feel bigger because they're filling a gap in themselves.
Right.
They're filling a hole in themselves. And even coming from no judgment, maybe they don't receive the love at home. You know, that's not their fault, right? But there's some sort of insecurity that is going on that they need to take it out on someone else. So the way that I summed it up for kids, like I said, is listen, the kids that are going to make fun of you, the kids that are going to pick on you, they're struggling with their own stuff. Mm-hmm. And the kids that are your friends, not only will they see you for your authentic self and love you for you, but they're not struggling with as many things as the other kids. And so you kind of feel bad for the kids that are bullying. You kind of feel bad for the kids that are ridiculing people because something's missing in their life. And we really need to get to those kids as well.
Well, how great is that? And it's so true. And I think that's to the next point is people make fun of you, not because of you, it's because of them, you know, and they were either made fun of and want to pass that baton or, you know, insecurities or whatever it may be. But it's one of those where, like, how is the best way to react to ridicule, right? I mean, you know, when you were in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, your reaction was tears. And understandably so. And it was being a little heartbroken because you didn't have the emotional intelligence that you have now, you know, but how is there a best way to react to that? So, you know, somebody 4th grade bus and somebody, you know, bad mouthed or whatever it may be, you know, people either do it through talk or shoving, right? Through physical. Yeah. But it's like, how is there a best way for like a Max or somebody like that to react to that when somebody who is insecure calls them a name, right? Like, you're just a wimp. And that's probably the nicest ridicule I think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. So listen, the things in our life, our problems, our challenges, people making fun of us, those things need focus in order to be fueled. And so as long as someone's not punching you in the face, because that's your own little rule that you have with your family, if you hit back or not, that's not me for to say, right? Yeah. But I'm saying if someone's coming up and making fun of you, the best way to get back at them is to just laugh. Is to just like, you know, like this doesn't bother me, like, and that makes them feel lower, and that means they're like, why is this dude or girl not getting pissed off? Like, why is it not working? You know, it's because you're not giving them the reaction that they want. Yeah. They want a reaction out of you. They want a specific reaction out of you. And that's you going back at them, or that's you crying. That's whatever it may be. And so if you just laugh and you exercise the muscle of just not saying anything and just walking away, they're going to be like, dude, I can't get to that guy. I can't get to that girl. Like, I'm going to go find someone who's weaker. Right. Yeah. But that's a muscle. Yeah. And and I'll share it with you because when I was 18 and I finally put myself out on the internet, and next thing you know, I went to having 1 million followers and And we can agree that the internet's a very nasty place. I went from just being a regular kid to millions of comments making fun of me.
Wow.
And what would even hurt me the most was my parents reading those comments.
Yeah.
And what I've realized, because, I've been on social media for a very long time now, is how dare me focus on the few negative comments when there's 1,000 positive? How dare me? How dare me reply to that one negative comment and give that guy or girl that satisfaction when there's other people loving on me and supporting me? And so we have to remember that that's not only for people that have comments, that's in real life. There's going to be that 1, 2, 3 people in your life that are negative and make fun of you. How dare you give them energy when there's so many people around you that love you? But that's a muscle. And I'm not saying to adopt that right away and you're going to have this bulletproof mindset. Right. But the next time someone says things, next time you just laugh. They'll get pissed off because you laughed and you just walk away and you didn't fuel their fire. But what they want is you to fuel their fire.
Yeah. I love that.
Are you enjoying the Daily Dose? Want to connect with thousands of other business owners that are winning the referral game while working from home right now? Head over to the Generosity Generation Facebook group. Connect with leaders, visionaries, and business owners from all over the world. Go to www.joingengen.com. That's www.joingengen.com.
No, it's like getting through the bite, right? There's that bite that, and you have that response to the bite, which is a lot of times fight or flight, it's kind of that, and it's getting through that bite and then realizing it's them, not you. And then like calculating kind of what is a response here, right? You don't want to call them back. Well, you're just insecure. That's why you're saying that, right? All that's going to do is give it fuel, right? Yep. And it's much more of just like, maybe I do need to work out with weights more, but don't you too, or who can't get stronger? I mean, we'd all like to be stronger, or on the wuss comment or the wimp comment,
Or you totally break their pattern and give them a mindset juggle, right? Freak them out by just simply saying, hey, if you ever need someone to talk to, like, I'm always here.
Oh God, that's a drop the mic, right?
How would they
perfect.
They would freak out, right? They
would.
And so like, say someone comes up to you and calls your name, be like, hey, I don't know why you're calling me this, but I want to let you know from like a human to a human, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm sending my love your way.
Oh my God.
They're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
And they might break down.
Yeah.
And they might break down and they might open up and you might be able to change that kid's life as another kid.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. I think we have crafted the really good response to that. Is that something you'd say to a friend? Because I've always considered you a friend, or I've always wanted to have you as a friend. And it's just like, oh, right. Oh. Yeah. Oh my God, I got chills, dude. We got to cut that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Bringing compassion to it, because like we said, we don't know what that kid's going through. We don't know what their life at home looks like, but maybe you're that kid that helps him. And maybe that comment leads to you building a relationship with that person and they're your best friend because you literally changed their life in some way. And how do you feel? You're a little kid going around being a mini Yoda, helping people, all over. That's awesome. Mini
Yoda. Yoda's already small, right? Yeah, so it's I love that. It's like we're going to go Yoda of Yodas, right? And I have to tell you something, like, so who is going to be ridiculed? Everybody. Like everybody. And the thing is are we as parents or teachers or whoever preparing our kids to be ridiculed? The answer is no. What we do is we sit in our house and we hope they'll never be ridiculed or made fun of or beaten up or whatever. And the truth is they're going to be all those. They're going to be. So what we need to do is train them for when it happens. What is that best reaction, right? I mean, and the dads are out there. Well, I trained them if a bully comes up to them, I taught them. But it's like, have you taught them the mental game? Because the mental game is forever. The physical game is 5th, 6th, 7th grade, right? But the mental game is forever. Being a mental ninja is 1,000 times better than being a physical ninja. And the first person that would tell you that is a ninja master. It is the mindset. It's like Bruce Lee said, I do not fear the man with 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. what is the mindset of somebody practicing the same kick 10,000 times? That's the one you got to watch out for right there. So I guess, what was one of the first really tough challenges that you conquered, and what did you learn about yourself when you did that?
Yeah. So actually, when I was 13 or 14, I came to my parents with a question of, why can't I ride a bike like the other kids?
Wow.
And that really hit my parents, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't know. But to give a little context, the way that prosthetics work, especially a couple years ago, is the amount of limb you have. If you have more limb, it's easier to be fitted and easier to use prosthetics. And so my legs, I only have a couple inches of quad there. And so there wasn't many prosthetic companies that would accept the challenge to fit me and give me legs. Yeah. Anyway, my parents found this company. I got fitted for legs. And what they started me off were they were called stubbies. And so they were like little stilts.
Okay.
And so I was able to stand upright, and I would walk around in them to strengthen my body. And so that was my first challenge, and I was getting in my stubbies, and this was great. And then finally they moved me up to big boy legs. And so they had knees, and, I had shoes. I had Tony Hawk shoes. I still have them. And here I am. I'm like 3 feet taller than I am. And I'm like, oh my God, the air is so much better up here. It's crazy. The view is so much better. And and Nick always wants to run. I always want to, max out everything. And so I had to walk with a walker, and I had to walk with like holding onto bars. Well, it was the first thing physically in my life that I wasn't strong enough to do. And the reason I said that, it opened up my eyes, because I realized that when you're born with legs, that you're naturally, when you walk around, you're strengthening your abs, you're strengthening your obliques, your lower back, everything that goes into you guys walking around, which you don't really notice because you strengthen it your whole life. But I'm like, oh my God, it was the first time that I realized, Nick, you're physically not in shape enough to do what you want to do. And so it was a good learning lesson. It was a good moment of awareness for me, realizing that, okay, I'm not strong enough now, but I'm going to be strong enough one day. And so like even now, the reason why I bodybuild is because I'm trying to build all my muscles. All my muscles to be symmetrical. And one day I'm going to not tell anyone, and I'm just going to get on my legs. And once I'm able to walk around, I'm going to film a video and shock the world. Right. But that was my first thing. Like, and I could have gave up and quit and just said, forget this. But I was like, no, let me just find different ways, fun ways to strengthen my body. So one day I can, get back into them.
Wow. What did you learn from that?
Yeah, I learned that not only do things don't come easy, and I knew that, but that something, if you really want something, you'll find unique and creative ways to achieve it.
Wow. Because, how bad do you want it?
Yeah. I mean,
how bad do you want it? Right.
Exactly. Like
that had to be a confidence builder.
Yeah. What's going to pull you through those moments? And that's why I think vision is important. And that's why vision is the first thing that we start off with Junior Victorious. It's the acronym through Victorious is, as humans, we go through the motions, right? I think 80% of our actions are habitual. They're on autopilot, right?
Right.
And so when's the last time you really self-reflected on why you get out of bed? Or when's the last time you really reflected on why do you build that business, or why are you learning all these skills? Is it to, retire your parents? Is it to take your mom to Egypt, your dad to Alaska? Those are mine. But I don't know what it is for you, but when we have a powerful enough why, the how will reveal itself, and so, having a why for me of being like, I want to walk around with legs, it's a massive why. So I'm going to find unique and creative ways to do it. But that, I think that also ties into the questions that you're asking yourself is like, why do I want to do this?
Yeah. And something that you dropped in there was the Junior Victorious program that Max is a member of. And I love that you're doing mindofavictor.com is the place on that. And I think what you've tapped into with Junior Victorious and this entire program of Mind of a Victor is like, I believe that it's fragile versus strong, and why are our kids, it seems like they go into the world unprepared because they're fragile. Their psyche is fragile. And good thing is there's no more spanking and the physical thing, but the physical thing, I think, made them a little bit tough, but I think the parents of today handle our kids with so many kid gloves instead of tough love that they aren't prepared for the world. The world is going to be intolerant. The world is going to be tough, and it's what I love about your program is you're taking an avenue that is not taught in school, and in some cases not even taught at home, and you're helping these kids become self-aware and self-sufficient through a tough-minded approach instead of a fragile-minded approach. Like, what if our kid could be tough-minded when they graduate school, right? So anyway, I think people need to check that out. Junior Victorious, mindofaVictor.com. What is that?
Yeah, so Junior Victorious is basically a 52-week journey with me, and your kids go through the acronym of Victorious. So each month has a different letter. So the first month, like I said, is V. So your kid's going to know why vision is important to them. Yeah. How can they cultivate a vision? How can they, cultivate the actionable steps to obtain that vision? And then how can they communicate it to other people? And then they go into I, which is integrity, then courage and thankfulness, all this stuff, right?
Are you using J and R for the other two letters? Because there's only 10 letters in Victorious, right?
Yeah, so there's going to be 2 months. Yeah, no. I haven't used Junior, but that's a good idea. But there's 2 months of like different content that's just not through the acronym. But I like that. I like that
Victorious
as well.
Junior, right?
Yeah.
You could do the JR at the end, and it could be joy and I don't know, rampage. So anyway.
Yeah. And the one thing that I'm working on is getting Junior Victorious nationally certified by the Board of Education to get it into the budgets of the schools.
Yeah, I love it.
I just had a call yesterday. And so that way, however fast the teacher wants to teach it, but maybe once a week or twice a week they get taught by me. And there's been studies shown that the parents aren't the top influences in their kids' lives. Wow. And parents all know it because sometimes you feel like your voice isn't being heard. That's because you're not the top influence in your kid's life. And sometimes it's a teacher, but most likely it's someone they idolize. It's someone they model. It's a role model in their life. And so that's why I'm excited about it. And also because kids are so receptive, they learn faster than us, right? And so like you said, if we can plant seeds early on, those seeds are going to blossom. As well as a question that everyone can self-reflect on, the parents, is, are we doing too much for our kids? Because what is happening is, say every single day you put your kid's shoes on, every single day you make his food for him, you know what they start to do? They start to expect.
Take it for granted, entitlement.
They start to expect instead of appreciate. We live in the expectation generation. And so everything's expected. Even humans do it. Everything's expected. And so, there's a quote Tony lives by: drop your expectations for appreciations and your life will change in that moment. If you can get your kids to appreciate more, what is that worth to you? If you can get your kids to not expect all the time, what is that worth to you? And you have great intent. I'm not saying you have bad intent, but sometimes that great intent by doing everything for them is actually handicapped and crippling your own kids.
Boom. Like, drop the mic. That is it in a nutshell. And honestly, it's everything. Like that is the difference, right? Is expectation versus appreciation. And what's funny is what I've seen is people will combat the lack of appreciation by doing more for them. And they do more and wait for the appreciation. They do more and wait for the appreciation, but the appreciation will come when they don't take it for granted anymore. And the expectation is not there. Right. So it's one of those where it's like, you hit it on the head, that we need to make them more appreciative. How do we do that? We make them do what you do. That's when people are really appreciative. I'll tell you that I saw that with the CRTs, Nick, is the CRTs, like I taught them certified referral trainers. I taught them 7L and how to teach 7L. And what was amazing is these 80 people were going through this. At the end of it, they were so appreciative of me because teaching it is far different than spectating it, not even learning it, but just watching it is so much different than actually teaching it. And teaching is hard. Teaching is difficult. Speaking is hard. Speaking is difficult. Making points, making things, that kind of thing.
And it drives it deeper into your subconscious when you teach it.
That's right. Each one teach one.
Yeah.
Right?
And so the last word in Victorious is service. It's the S. And what I basically say to the kids is, so listen, now you got the Victorious mindset. Now you have all the tools, the invaluable perspective that I gave you. Now it's your obligation. It's your duty to go serve others. Yeah. And you're going to notice that not only does it feel good when you serve others, but they're just going to come out of you because it's ingrained in you now. And what better way than teaching makes us feel good. It's contribution. And that's why we love doing this. That's why we're on the calls right now, is because it makes us feel good. Literally, I want to end off with this. How we were talking, the whole thing is about victim to victor, and how we can feel bad for ourselves, and we can, something can happen to our life and we should be like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this. Literally, I haven't even talked about this on live. My brother passed away less than 24 hours ago.
Oh God.
My brother passed away yesterday, and I still showed up and I taught the parents. I still showed up and I taught the kids. I still showed up today and got on these Zoom calls. Because life keeps going. I have to deal with that stuff in my own personal life, but as a professional, the train keeps going and people need to be served. And I could have sat back and said, well, this happened to me and I'm there for my family. I don't have justifications in my life, guys. And that's why I'm the person who I am, because despite that happening and despite how much I hurt right now, I still show up and I serve. And so that could just be a perspective. Drop a little bit perspective before I go is, what are the little things in your life that you're using as justifications? What are the little things in your life that you're using as excuses of why you shouldn't do things or why you shouldn't show up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have a lot to respond with that too. Besides, thank you first of all, and second of all is there's an enormous point there where and man, I did not know we were going to go here, of course, but it's like, in the Bible, Jesus is rounding people up, and one of the gals says, well, my husband just died, and he said, let the dead bury the dead, which is a very harsh statement, but it's like, what kind of control do we have over that? And you're going to grieve. You're going to have time to grieve, and you are going to grieve. And the other part of this too is that you showed up anyway. You lived up to your commitments anyway. And it's kind of goes under that, how bad do you want it? But then it leads to this commitment thing. And what you're doing right now is, and I have to tell you, man, I mean, it's like, as an emotional moment, is you're honoring your brother right now.
Yeah.
You're honoring, and I think there's this, grieving is a natural process. And then there's this honoring, which is this action taking. Sometimes people believe that grieving is just sitting in your pajamas in a fetal position on a couch. And that's not grieving. Life goes on, and you got to take action. And action is honoring. You're honoring your brother. And man, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry to hear that. And I'm so appreciative of you coming on today. And I did not know that. So
you got it. And like I said, I pride myself on authenticity, and I pride myself on transparency. And that's why I share things like that. Yeah. Not to boast and say, hey, look at me, but to show you that what does it really take? And also, what meaning do we have behind death? Is it bad, or is it a celebration of life?
Yeah.
Because there's been people that, someone has passed away, and years later, they're still in this stuck and crippling hole. It's probably because they have the wrong relationship with that event. Mm-hmm. So what are the relationships in our past that we felt were negative that we can change the story? Because when you change a story, you change your life.
Nick, what's your brother's name?
Michael.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Your brother Michael passed away. By the way, tons of prayers in the comments. Everybody is, this is what the generosity generation is about, is we care about each other. And we do. We care and we share. And lots of prayers and comments coming through. And that's a wow moment. And, if what was the greatest lesson that Michael ever taught you? Or what was the biggest or best thing you ever learned from Michael? I really want to honor him in this moment. And maybe that question isn't the right question, but you know what I mean? It's like, what do you love the most about him? Or what was the biggest lesson that you learned from him?
Yeah, man, he worked his butt off.
Mm.
He's just like, more labor intensive. He was a Marine. He's just, very just labor, like just a mule when he worked,
Mm-hmm.
and he was always the hardest worker in the room. And, that's even something that I live by. Like you may have more talent, you may have more skill than me, but you won't outwork me.
Yeah.
You're not going to outwork me. And so that, for everyone listening right now, you don't have to have some super skills or super genetics, or super talent. But what you could do is you can work hard, and you can work harder than everyone else around you. And what that's going to do is not only elevate you, but it's going to build your confidence. You're going to see, look, I'm outperforming the rest. And that makes you feel good, right? When you're the hardest worker in the room. And so if we can have a better relationship with hard work, and just grinding, you don't need to have all the skill. You don't need to have all the talent. You don't need to have, magic genetics. You just got to work hard and be passionate about it.
10,000 hours from Malcolm Gladwell, right? Is not only do you, not only should we not avoid work, right? It's like, we should embrace work and never let anybody outwork us. We need to fall back in love with the word work. It seems like that word has fallen out of vogue and it's got a negative connotation. But I will tell you, the successful that I know, like Nick Santonastasso and Michael Maher and Sherry Maher, and is like, we go to work. Like, we're hard workers and we have a strong work ethic. And I'm telling you that working harder is more important than working smarter. I truly believe that, because in working harder, you're going to end up working smarter. But some people, by trying to work smarter, never do the hard work and never get anything done. They're trying to outsmart themselves. They've gotten paralysis by analysis, Yeah. And Nick, what do you always say about what's the worst handicap in the world?
That I realize it's not the physical body that holds us back, but the biggest disability you can have is a bad mindset. It's your programming, it's your conditioning. And ending off, like I said, your brain isn't designed to make you happy. Your brain isn't designed to focus on the good. Your brain isn't designed to ask you empowering questions. That's your job to train it to.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Nick Santonastasso, Mr. Victorious himself. Talk about going from victim to victor. He lives it. He breathes it. The only handicap is a bad mindset, And I will tell you that all of you need to check out mindsetofavictor.com. Check out his Junior Victorious. We're a client. My son is a client. I highly recommend you going to Mindset of a Victor right now. Mindset of a Victor.
Just mind.
Mind of a Victor. Good job making it shorter. Thank you. You might want to go get the other domain. Mindofavictor.com. Check that out. It's Junior Victorious program. And without any other, it's just like, Nick, thank you so much for coming on and inspiring us again. And I will tell you, I love you, brother. You're the best, man.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to today's Daily Dose. This is one you're going to want to start a watch party when you see it. When you do the replay, you're going to want to start a watch party and share this with the people. It's Friday. Today is the greatest day to share this message as people go into the weekend. And I will tell you, check out mindofavictor.com, his Junior Victorious program. And then remember to check the events section here in the Generosity Generation group and please continue to work on your 150, your top 150, and look for more from us on that in the coming weeks. I appreciate Nick. Once again, thank you so much for being on the Daily Dose.
You got it, brother.
And everybody else, I will see you Monday on the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity with Mr. Ron Burgum. It's going to be Monday's motivational segment. It's Monday's motivation on Monday. Otherwise, have a great week. Be safe. Stay healthy, everyone. We'll see you Monday.